Hi everyone, it's Justine and welcome to the Suzy Stamps Wedding Featurette Part 2, and we're going to be focusing on bridal showers today. We're going to make an invitation, a thank you card, and a little box for some goodies. To start off with the little gift box, we're going to take a 6x6 piece of cardstock, and you can use this in any color that you want, and what you're going to do is hold it to the 2 inches, push the button, and score it. Then you're going to move it to the 4 inches, score, and push. 2 inches, 4 inches, and it doesn't really matter in which order you do the scoring or the punching, you just need to do it at 2 and 4 inches on each side. So it's really straightforward and easy. These are a really cool little tool to have, and they're really handy for creating boxes and then all sizes of envelopes as well. So now we have this really funny looking piece here, and we're going to stick it on the other side of this punch, and we're going to round the corners. This is really convenient about these punch boards. We're going to go ahead and reinforce all the score lines. What that means is you're taking your bone folder and you're reinforcing all the fold lines, so that means you're just making them really nice and crisp. When they're all finished, you just go in with one of these little hole punches here. We used to use them when the newspaper would be collected and stuff. I don't even know if people own these anymore, but I figured it's a tool that you can find everywhere and a lot of people have, so it's a good idea to use instead of trying to find a fancy hole puncher to fit ribbon through. And I'm just going to punch one on each side. When you're finished punching all 4 holes on each of these little ends here, we're going to end up having to cut out some of these sides. So you're going to do on any 2 sides that are opposite each other, you're going to just cut down the first line and where it folds and intersects the other line. And that's really easy to do, and you don't even have to worry about being super straight or anything. You're not going to see this area anyway. So now we have all 4 of those holders, and I'm going to go in now and I'm going to stamp this wedding dress stamp that we used before on the wedding invitations and the save the date cards. I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper so that it doesn't go onto the top, and I'm going to stamp this little flourish onto the box. I'm just going to ink it up with black ink and stamp downwards. It doesn't matter what gets on those corner pieces are going to be glued anyway. I'm going to repeat this on all 4 sides by putting the scrap piece of paper and then stamping down to protect the edges. You could stamp on the whole thing as well. It wouldn't really be too much of a problem, but I just decided that I only wanted it on the side panels. You're going to add some glue to those side pieces that you cut out earlier, and then you're going to just stick the whole box together. The next thing we're going to do is add some ribbon to the top of this. So you can use any ribbon. I just grabbed some silver ribbon. You can get anywhere, and you're going to feed it in through, and then going from the outside towards the inside of the box, and then across from that, you're going to feed it from the outside in again. And then on the opposite side from where you started, you're going to feed it from the inside out. And the reason why you want to do this is because then it goes really nicely together to create your box. All you're going to do now is fold it into a bow the same way you would tie shoes, and then trim off the edges that you no longer need. Of course, you're going to need to put the candy in there or whatever you're putting as your little party favor beforehand. The next project we're doing is the invitation to the bridal shower. Now, I wanted to use something that represented a shower, sort of, so I grabbed this raindrop stencil from Simon Says Stamp, and I enforced a piece of watercolor paper down with some washi tape, and then the stencil down with some washi tape. And washi tape is removable, and that's why I chose to use that. I'm going to be taking some tumbled glass ink from Distress Inks from Tim Holtz. This is a really inexpensive mini cube. I think they're $2.99, along with the blending tool. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to blend in those raindrops here. Now I'm just going to go over them to about 3/4 of the way down the card. As you notice, I go in a circular motion and I try to start off the card and work my way in to avoid any lines. When I take off the stencil, this is what it looks like. And now this is a totally optional step that I'm going to do right now, and that's to add some water to your card. Because I used watercolor cardstock, my cardstock shouldn't warp, and I just sprayed some water and misted it down, and then set it upwards and let the water flow down. Again, this is an unnecessary step that you need to take. You can just leave it. And I'm going to stamp my wedding dress stamp again in black Simon Says Stamp ink and stamp that onto the middle of my card. As you'll see from the impression, I won't get a really crisp impression like I did on the other stamping because I'm using textured watercolor paper. So again, if you don't want to add the water to your paper, you want to save time and do it quickly, do it on regular white cardstock and you'll have a perfectly crisp black image. The next step was to stamp the sentiment. I used a stamp set this stamp from Close to My Heart that I found in an old set. I mean, you can find a bridal stamp, or you're invited to a bridal stamp set pretty much anywhere, or you can pre-print them using your computer. I'm going to glue that panel now onto a piece of colored cardstock. If you make the colored cardstock, let's say 4 by 5.5 inches or 4 by 5 inches or so, then you'll be able to get 3 cards out of a 12 by 12 cardstock. So that'll be really cheap, and you can customize that with your wedding colors. Next up is your wedding thank you cards for your bridal shower. I'm using some shimmer paper just to add a little bit of extra something to the card. This card measures 3 by 6 and then I fold it in half to make a 3 by 3 card. If you do this and you use a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, you can get 6 cards for each piece of cardstock. So you can usually do 6 cards for about, I would say, less than $1. So probably around 60 cents or so as a piece of cardstock, depending on what you're buying and where you're buying it from. And remember, you can use these with your own wedding colors, and then I would recommend an ink that is similar in color. I did it in all 4 corners using that wedding dress stamp, and then in the middle I wanted to stamp a thank you sentiment. I originally stamped it in yellow ink, and then I realized that it really wasn't the best because it didn't really stand out at all, so I decided to go back in and stamp it using some black ink. I had to add a piece of tape at the bottom of the card because my card kept popping up, so I would just remove that after when I was finished. And so that's the end of the video. Remember, you can customize all these colors to your wedding colors. Here you're welcome to subscribe to my channel, as well as I have 2 videos, one linking to the invitations that we originally made and one linking to the save the date cards. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday for the next Suzy wedding featurette featuring the thank you cards for your menu cards for your wedding ceremony. Thanks so much for watching.